I'd like to thank my team, my chief investigator, Chris Poole, investigator Justin Hobbs. They worked tirelessly on this case. I know we haven't been giving out a lot of information in reference to what's been going on, but it's been very busy and a lot of new things come to light. More arrests last night, unfortunately. The case first started in February of this year. The Department of Human Resources had information that there was possible sexual abuse going on at the residence on Aaron Drive. They contacted the sheriff's office, and Chris and Justin immediately responded there, and they were able to determine that, yes, there was sexual abuse of children occurring there. This was occurring in what would have been referred to as a bunker. It's actually a storm shelter. When you pull into the driveway, it just looks like a shed where you park cars. When you go around back, it's actually an underground storm cellar where all these incidents took place. They were able to interview the first suspect, William Chase McElroy, and as a result of that, they located another suspect, Dalton Carroll. He confessed and gave more information that led to it being opened as a human trafficking investigation. After that, the allegations resulted in the arrest of Timothy St. John, Rebecca Brewer, Sarah Terrell, and Ricky Terrell. So as it stands right now, the total number of victims are 10. Unfortunately, we expect more victims to be found. We're looking right now at 7 individuals that have been charged with a variety of horrible crimes. The first suspect is William Chase McElroy. The victim's ranged in age from 3 to 10 years old. His charges are 4 counts of rape first, 6 counts of sodomy first, 6 counts of human trafficking, 4 counts of kidnapping first. And we have mug shots available for you that will provide you after the conference. The second arrest is of Dalton Terrell. His charges are rape first, 5 counts, sodomy first, 7 counts, human trafficking, 6 counts, kidnapping first, 4 counts. The third arrest is Andres Velasquez Trado. His charges are 6 counts of human trafficking. Those victims ranging in age from 3 to 15 years old. Next is Timothy L. St. John Jr. His charges are 2 counts of rape first, 4 counts of sodomy first, 4 counts of human trafficking, 3 counts of kidnapping first, 1 count of bestiality, 1 count of aggravated cruelty to animals. In addition to animals, the victims ranged in age from 3 to 10 years old. Next is Rebecca Liv. Her charges are 8 counts of human trafficking, 8 counts of kidnapping first, 3 counts of sexual torture. Next arrest is Ricky Terrell. His charge right now is 1 count of rape first. We anticipate more charges on these other ones as they've just been arrested last night and have not been to grand jury yet. The final arrest made, Sarah Louise Terrell. Her counts thus far, 1 count of sexual torture and 2 counts of sexual abuse of a child less than 12 years old. There's a lot of people to thank in this investigation. In addition, we'd like to thank our DA's office, the 4th District Attorney's Office, the Central Alabama Child Advocacy Center that helps with interviewing the small victims in this case, the Alabama Fusion Center that helps us get all this information together and get us a timeline going and help organize everything, Bibb County Department of Human Resources, they've been invaluable, the Department of Homeland Security, as we're looking into possible gang affiliations with one of the suspects that's been arrested. known ties to a gang that's known their main source of income is child sex trafficking. And our 911 dispatchers, they do a tremendous job, and they do so much for us other than just answer the radio and tell us where to go. Right now, the children, the victims that we have identified, have been removed safely when this immediately was made aware, and they are in the Department of Human Resources in their custody, and they are safe and being cared for and speaking with counselors to help them get through this horrible thing that's happened to them. It's still an ongoing investigation, and we anticipate more arrests and, unfortunately, more victims. That's most of the information that I can share with you now, but I'd be glad to take a couple of questions if I could answer them. Yes, ma'am?
How are all these people connected? I know there are some with the same last name, but I think some even with different last names, their in-laws and that kind of thing. Can you kind of lay that out for us?
Correct. And for the privacy of the children, I'll just suffice it to say that, yes, some of the victims, the offenders, were their parents and different relatives and things like that, which you can draw from the last names being the same as the offenders and victims. So,
what about probably the suspects? Are there any connections there? I know you've got Sarah and Ricky Terrell along with Dalton. Is that one family or?
Some of these people are acquaintances. Some of them are family, and some of them are just people that they were able to schedule to come to the storm shelter.
Sheriff, how did we get to this point with these children? Did somebody not say, hey, this is not right? How did we get to this point? Where were the parents? Where were the uncle with the aunts or even friend?
Correct. Well, a lot of the relatives being involved, so they're not going to come forward. But as far as this, there was a suspicion by the Department of Human Resources there was child abuse going on there, and that's when they contacted us to open the investigation. Immediately, victims removed and arrests began being made.
And would they take the children to the bunker, or were the children staying in the bunker?
It depends on what appointment time the offenders had. Sometimes the children would be there, tied to a pole that was there, bound to a bed that was there, or in a chair that was there. Sometimes there would be multiple people that would come by and victimize these children on a nightly basis.
And you know how much they would pay me for what they did for it?
We've heard different numbers. I understand that sometimes they could make up to $1,000 a night.
The DA says that there's maybe up to 12 more men involved. Is there any way to track down these men, or do you have any leads on it? And what about those who purchased the images from Pulaski straight up?
That is still something that these guys are working on. They were out till midnight last night and have been since this investigation started. So, yeah, I was waiting until a time such as this when we had the known victims safe and the for sure known suspects in custody before we wanted to give out a lot of information on this case. But it is still ongoing. And like I said earlier, unfortunately, I'm afraid there's going to be more victims and many more suspects. And these guys are diligent and they're going to run down everybody they can.
Besides the victims whose parents were involved that you mentioned, those who maybe didn't have parents involved, are there any knowledge, were they knowledgeable of this going on and could any criminal charges be brought against them?
That is something that will be part of the ongoing investigation. I do not think that anybody that was not involved in this directly was aware that it was going on.
How many additional victims do you anticipate? If you have 10 already, how many additional do you anticipate?
There's no telling.
What?
As I'm sure many of your investigators are parents, aunts, uncles, how has it been for you all on kind of peeling this back layer by layer and seeing all this? It seems like it's bad. It goes from worse to worse to worse to worse.
Absolutely. It's horrible as a parent when you sit there and you look at your child. I mean, I have a 30-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 9-month-old. And I just look at that little girl and I'm thinking, how could you? I mean, absolutely horrible. These men have children that they have to go on to when they can get off from a case like this and be with their children. And I'm sure they just hold them a little tighter. And I know that those children have to just thank God that they have good parents like these men.
And were drugs involved in this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know what drugs those were to use to incapacitate the victims?
No, ma'am. I think it may have been something not necessarily a narcotic, more something like to make them more, a little bit more drowsy and a little bit more compliant for the ones that were physically able to somewhat try to fight back and protect themselves. But no, and I know that there was another investigation that was that it kind of crossed over a little bit involving drugs at that residence, and then we kind of had to say, all right, let's wait a minute on that. We've got more important things that we have to address right now.
If you don't know who's getting the money that is paying, who the money went to,
Chris, is that anything I need to divulge? Justin?
And then you're to several these people.
I would say, yes, look at what's public information on the charges, and it kind of self-explanatory for what their crimes were and what they were charged with, is whether or not there was currency or any money involved.
Yeah, correct. One of the charges that I read out earlier on Trey Hunt, all his accounts were child sex trafficking. So you can draw what you want.
he's not accused of any doing anything to children himself except trafficking into that correct?
Right now, that's all the charges that he's facing right now, which those are incredibly serious charges.
Right.
But as of right now, as I say, that it is an ongoing investigation, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that's going to come out, unfortunately.
Without that building too much, can you talk about how the bestiality charge, the fourth man arrested, plays into this? I mean, it's a part of this, or when it just frame a charge that was tacked on in a separate incident?
That was something that was discovered during the investigation of the children by witnesses, suspects that were cooperating and giving additional information. So that's how that information come forward.
How were the suspect able to advertise, if you will? How were they able to garner so many children to promote this?
Unfortunately, animals like this, they do have their own network. They got people that they can call. They got ads they can take out, be it on any kind of social media platform or something like that. So it is somewhat of an underground thing, but it is well known. Not all the offenders were necessarily familiar with the people that they were purchasing the kids.
And the house where the bunker is, I know there's an elderly woman, I think one of the men's grandmother who lives there. Is there any reason to think any of the people who live near there were suspicious of what was happening, knew what was happening?
Well, I think, too, and we were talking about that there was also an ongoing drug investigation that we had to put a little bit of a hold on until we could rescue these children. I think that when you've got that amount of traffic going in and out, it's not unusual, and especially when the area where it's located, you can pretty much get to the bunker without a lot of people seeing it. And at night, it'd be easy to go in there and detect. So I think with that kind of a relatively heavy traffic area like that, it wouldn't be unusual to see a lot of vehicles and people going in and out of the house. But that's when it's good for people, if they do see activity that's suspicious like that, to please make us aware, because a lot of time when there's something going on like that, there's something bad going on behind it.
You mentioned criminal, gang affiliations, and this has kind of been described as a ring. Do you plan to bring charges under the new Alabama Criminal Enterprise Act?
That's something we're still looking to, working with the district attorney's office. And, we have other agencies that are coming in here to assist us. So the main thing we did was get the charges that we could immediately to get these people in custody and get them off the street. I anticipate more charges coming.
Sheriff, is there evidence, I think you spoke to it, that this is linked to a larger criminal conspiracy or organization? And are there other agencies, federal, involved in your investigation?
Well, we've got Homeland Security investigations that's helping us, and to track a little bit more information on the one that has the ties to the, is it Sinaloa? The Serrano gang. And like I say, I think their main source of income is child trafficking.
Okay.
So, yeah, we are getting assistance from federal agencies to help us on that end, because where did this guy come from? We don't know what he left in his trail.
This may be out of your purview, but when this is over with, will you have any sort of jurisdiction to get rid of the bunker just for psychological purposes?
That is something that I haven't even thought of at that point. I'm glad you brought that up. So we will see what can or should be done about that. If I had my way about it, we'd blow it up, but that's something that I can't really answer.
Can you describe what the bunker was like? I know we've seen pictures of the outside by now, but can you describe what the inside was like and about how large it was?
Well, it was pretty good sized where you could actually live in there comfortably. I mean, there was a toilet in there. There was a mattress they were using as a bed in there, room for some chairs and things like that. It's kind of a concrete block structure, partially underground, to where you walk around back and you can see it, but it's going to kind of like a hillside. And then on the top, though, like I say, it was like a pad for the roof, and then a carport put over. So when you pull up and look at it, it just looks like a carport on a concrete slab.
The Hispanic suspect, what's he? Is he legal?
We're working with Homeland Security investigations to determine what kind of protective visa he had or anything like that. So I'm not really sure right now. That's something they're running down and helping us to determine.
Going back to the bunker, just to clarify, I've read reports of it being a basement that was converted into a storm shelter, but you're saying there was a carport above it. Was there any type of residence around that, or was it truly just a bunker in the ground?
Well, it was right there by the residence, so it was adjacent, but you couldn't access it from the residence like directly. You had to go and come in the back of it.
And it was just for clarification, this was built as a storm shelter and was used for this purpose. This was not built for this purpose.
No, ma'am, and that was one of my first questions. But no, I do believe it was built for a good thing and used for a horrible thing.
Where are the mothers of these children? Could she be implicated as well?
The ones that aren't in jail, we're still working on that, y'all.
I'm stuck. It sounds like, Sheriff, based on what you shared with us today, this could be just the beginning of something much larger that you sort of mentioned earlier. Do you anticipate that this is only the tip of the iceberg, so to speak?
Yes. It is an ongoing investigation, and I know it's been frustrating for a lot of people in the media that we haven't given out a lot of information to come forward with a lot of information, but the hours that's been put in and the urgency of getting these people before they fled, trying to turn them and not giving it a lot of attention so that they would scatter like rats. Now we're to the point where now we've got to uncover possibility of more suspects and more victims, but we've got the ones that are confirmed in custody and charged right now. So,
Is there any adults? We had heard earlier that the parent of one of the children had claimed they were being trafficked as well. Was that a possibility? And you looked into that? Or are we talking about only children?
I believe that the oldest child was 15, if that's what you were telling.
I'm thinking about the mother of those.
The mother of her, which ask that question again.
Any allegations or belief that any of these moms, like the children, might have been trafficked as well?
That's not something I'm aware of. Chris and Justin may be able to answer that question. I'm not aware that the mother's trapped.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the two women charged were the mothers of these children, or some of these children.
Yes.
I mean,
I'd rather not say right now, like I say, because the children are, students in our schools here in Bibb County, and they've been through enough. And I just want to say as little as I can just to protect a little bit of privacy and fake out.
As a sheriff here and as a father, like we said, can you speak to just the severity of this case? And has there ever been any experience like this in your time as a kid here?
I've been in law enforcement for 33 years, and this is absolutely the most horrible thing I've ever seen when it comes to victimization of children. Like I say, I know God's forgiveness is boundless, but if there was a limit to it, I think we reached it. And I know there's a verse that comes to me, and it's in Matthew, I think it's 18:10. It says, "Don't offend one of these least of mine, for their angel behold the Father and face of my Father at all times."
And do you believe that people were traveling clear to Bibb County outside of Bibb County for the act of means?
A lot of the people we have in custody right now are more local, but as investigation goes on, hopefully we'll be able to determine if there were people traveling from out of county, out of state, or wherever come victimize these children. So it's not something I can answer right now, but it's something these guys are diligently working.
Do you have a message for, you said you're expecting possible victims to come forward too. Do you have any message for those victims or the families of the victims to encourage them to come forward?
I would say no child deserves this. That's the most horrible thing you can do. The power to control of it, the stealing the innocence of a child, and the horrible victimization they went through with these monsters. I would say it's like the old saying, if you see something, say something. If you do think or suspect that there are children being victimized, contact us or your local law enforcement and make them aware. If there's nothing to it, we'll be glad to say it's not. But for something to it, God help us to protect these children.
Can you tell us about how long you think this enterprise, this was happening, from when to when?
The best we can determine at this point is it probably starting somewhere around in 2022.
Wow. So you're talking about these children were victimized over and over and over through these years.
Yeah, with the age range of the children, from 3 to 10, some come in as they got old enough to be desirable to a pedophile, I guess. And then some of them, their victimization started out when they were younger, and then they reached the age of 10.
And I know you said that most of these children, like the mothers, have been arrested also, but were any of these missing children anywhere that you know of?
That's not anything that I'm aware of, that they were reported missing or had been abducted or anything like that. I think the kidnapping charges would come from moving a child from one place to another, although the person that was supposed to be their caretaker knew where they were going, but just for you to move that child for a felony purpose from one place to another, that would reach the level of kidnapping.
Sheriff Sarah Terrell, Dalton Terrell, Ricky Terrell, are they related and Pitt somehow?
Yeah, they're related. I'm not sure exactly how they're related. Brothers, sisters, aunts, I don't know.
What about the children? You've been in their business, you said, a long time. What's in store for them? I know they've been taken away and they're in a safe place, but in terms of counseling, what is their immediate future going to look like?
Well, and they've already been in contact with counselors, and they're getting the help they need, the medical help they need, the emotional and psychological help that we can best provide them. That for the younger kids, I'm hoping it's the blurry memory, because some of the statements from children, they were unable to remember certain things, and then things would come to mind. And so in some of the older children, they'll carry this vividly for the rest of their lives. So all we can do is the best we can by them to help them get past this. You can't heal from this, but you can move on as best you can. And we're going to see, along with the Department of Human Resources, that these children get everything they can to have the best life that they can.
You mentioned that these were kids that were in schools here and stuff, so they were reading and going to school and having that sort of life all of a sudden.
Yes.
Are there any, adults other than their parents or so-called caretakers that maybe feel these children's school officials need to with that? And could they be criminally filed with this?
Not that I'm aware of, because normally, and with our school system, if something's going on or something looks out of place, they call us immediately, because we have a very good working relationship with them, as we do DHR. It's a small county. They'll call my cell phone and say, hey, Jody, this little girl's missed 3 days of school and she has bruises when she come in. Then we'll sink dogs on the land. But we work very well with them. I'm not sure there was any indication. And, as in any case like this, sometimes the victims are reluctant to come forward. They're afraid they're going to get in trouble. The victimizers have control over them. They are their caretakers, and they still some care about their parents.
But no report had some kind of school official or anybody else about this, that could have the job.
I do not think that there was anything at the school that would have led anybody there to think that there was anything wrong at home. They would certainly have contacted us and I can promise.
What about you guys? Counseling made available to these gentlemen, or perhaps even need?
If they had time, they would probably get some. They have been wide open. I guarantee you, they've seen these poor children more than they've seen their own. They were calling me last night after we met for a couple hours yesterday. They were calling me last night at midnight, giving me updates on what was going on and talking about their concerns. And we met in my house so we could just kind of sit and talk, and then give me some more updates on the case in preparation for this conference. And then, of course, we had a lot of personal talks. And it's hard to sit there and talk to your chief investigator while he's only a 9-month-old about something horrible that happened to another little child who doesn't have as good as ours.
Can we hear from either one of them? If they're okay with it, are you okay with them just telling us how it's been for them through these months of investigation?
That is absolutely up to Justin and Chris. Chris?
And I probably the question is, could you step to the phone?
Absolutely.
That's the thing they're doing. Give us your name again real quick in case anybody missed it before.
I'm Christopher Hole.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
I started the Sheriff's Office in 2017.
So just what's this been like for you?
It's been heartbreaking. It's very sad. We don't want to see any children ever have to go through this. As Sheriff said, we all have children of our own. God puts us at the place that we need to be put at that time. And I think me and Justin, our agency has been put there, and we're going to do everything we can. And my only message to all of the victims, know we are fighting for y'all. And the voice, we're going to help you find it. We're going to help you find it. And we're going to put everybody who has done any wrong to any child in this county away. Our sheriff is very supportive of that. When we notified him immediately of this, he immediately told us, go and handle it. Go and handle it. You investigate it to the fullest. And that's what we intend on doing.
How do we face at the door when you go home and not take it home to your own kid is the what?
You got to keep the faith. Faith is a strong thing that you got to keep through this.
Chris, at what point during the investigation did you and the partner, the Francis and the sheriff, realize this is going to be a lot bigger than what was off? Was it day one back in February? At what point did you realize this was huge?
Yeah, so in February, we knew any child abuse is serious to us. But we noticed that it started getting bigger the second arrest that we made. Once we was interviewing Dalton Terrell, he ended up giving us a lot of information, and we started investigating a lot more.
Have all of the suspects confessed?
Multiple ones of the suspects have confessed. There is a couple that has not.
Teaching line would be able to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just
Hard to put into words, honestly. It's hard to put into words. It's hard to describe.
I mean, the sheriff has said this is the worst case against children he's ever seen. He's been doing it a lot longer than you. So this could be the worst thing you've ever seen. And you've only been here a year. So it's got to be pretty shocking to deal with.
I would agree with that. Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to share with us any expressions from the children once they realized they had been rescued?
I would prefer not to, just to protect the innocence of the children, their well-being.
How do you not take this home? How do you, I think that for when work seems to last a long time there.
I would say 6 years in the Army taught me very well. Leave it at the house and try to take it out.